Hi, I'm Steve King.
And I'm Johnny Putman.
And you can tell by the iTiger license plate that we are at Jim Peterik's World Stage Studio looking at some world-class cars. Jim, you have been a fan of cars for about as long as you've been a fan of guitars, right?
I have been. Ever since I was 3-4 years old, cars and guitars seem to go hand in hand. And it's all rock and roll, you know, and it's just kind of one spirit, really.
Now, the one we're looking at, this is a Lamborghini. What's the year and how did you come by it?
Well, it's an '08 Gallardo Spider, or Gallardo, as they say in Italy. It's something that I call it my midlife cruiser. Something I promised myself at a point a few years back. I said, you know, I'm still young enough to enjoy this car.
Amen.
And damn it, I'm going to have it. So this was sitting in the showroom. It had about 180 miles on it. So someone else took the hit. I got a, you know, good Berwyn discount on it. And there it is. I mean, what I love about this car is the red interior. Mm-hmm. If it was black, I wouldn't have gotten it. I love the contrast between the gunmetal gray. That's not the official color, but I call it gunmetal gray metallic. And the deep red interior. You know, a lot of times you see these Gallardos with bright lime green, bright orange, mm-hmm. Which is fine. But I love the subtlety of this color. I'm not normally a subtle guy, but in this car, it works.
Now, I'm sure that you never would have done this, but hypothetically, if someone were to try and figure out what the top speed on this car was, what would the range be?
Well, a certain gentleman I know who plays guitar headed up to 135 miles an hour on the Eisenhower at 3 a.m. But, you know, I can't say who it was or at all, but I will say this, it held together very well from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you'll never be able to guess from the license plate what kind of a car this is.
This, of course, is a Prowler. And, Jim, it's a 2002?
Right. It's a Plymouth Prowler. Chrysler made them for maybe 5-6 years. They lost money on every car, but they did it for image. Mm-hmm. It's all aluminum construction. And it's kind of based on the old hot rods, you know, where they would take a 34 Ford and make it into a hot rod. But this has the advantage of all the, you know, latest bells and whistles and a very foolproof engine. It's a V6 automatic transmission. It kind of got the critics to say, oh, it's just a kind of a wimpy roadster. And in a sense it is. I would rather it be a stick shift. But I love this car, especially in the Prowler Orange, which, you know, I went over to the dealer. He said, I got an orange one over here. And I said, I'm there.
Well, now, aren't most of them purple? I mean, people think of the purple Prowler.
Yeah. The first 2 years, it was nothing but purple. Mm-hmm. And then they started, you know, it's like Henry Ford, any color you want as long as it's black. This was purple until they started expanding, and this, I wouldn't have bought a purple one, although now I probably would. But the Prowler Orange, they really made very few of these, so I'm happy to have a rare one. I just love this car.
Now we turn to a Chevy Bel Air from the year Johnny was born, 1955. Jim, what's the story behind this car? What made you go for it?
Well, this is the car that I wanted when I was 4 years old. Me and Binky and Johnny, my good friends, you know, everybody's got a Binky and a Johnny.
Yes.
Actually, I still know Binky. It's great. And we used to sit on the curb on 26th Street in Berwyn, and we named every car as they went by.
Okay.
And if they had white walls or black walls, what model, what engine, everything. Oh. And it was always the Chevy Bel Air convertible that got my business more than any other car. And actually, this color was my favorite even then. It's Signet Red and cream. Mm-hmm. So, you know, a few years ago, the opportunity came. I looked at the Hemmings Motor News, which is the Bible of used vintage cars. Saw this one, had all the photographs. I mean, I couldn't withstand a test like this. From the bottom, from the side, every pore, every nook and cranny was covered. And it was all frame-off restoration, you know, absolutely a perfect car, 100 points. So it was very, very cool. And I drove it and needed some tune-up. As soon as I got it tuned up, it was just terrific. And it's a great, great car.
So Jim, the trunk is so big. Have you ever had a body in that trunk?
No bodies yet, but I have had a number of amplifiers in there. It's huge, it's cavernous, and I love the Continental kit.
Yeah.
To me, that makes a car, you know, of that era. Someday I want a 56 Thunderbird, and it's got to have the Continental kit on the back. You never use it, well, hopefully you never do use it, but I love the look of it.
And is it fair to say that this is the pièce de résistance, or is it just a cool car?
I don't speak French, but I think it means, is it really cool? Yeah, it's probably the crown jewel of my collection, I think. It's the biggest head turner of all the guitars. All the cars I have, except the Gallardo. The Lamborghini, everybody loves that. But 58 Vette, to me, this was the quintessential year for the Vette. It's distinguished by the chrome, you know, kind of rails on the back trunk and the fake hood louvers on the hood. This is shown with the very rare hard top. Usually you see them with the cloth top or top down. And I love the look of it, you know, with the top up like that. It's a 100-point car, and it was an award winner with the National Corvette Restoration Committee. It's a 100-point car. It won blue ribbons, gold ribbons, which doesn't mean a lot to me, except if I ever try to sell it, it means about 25 grand to have those kind of awards, other than, you know, on top of the price of the car.
Now, Jim, this is in the Signet Red, or is this an orange?
This is also called Signet Red. They're both Signet Red, and this is a 3-speed on the floor, and, you know, it's not a really fast car. It's a V8 with a power pack, but the Gallardo can eat it for breakfast, you know.
And I learned today that those are called white
Coves.
Coves.
C-O-V-E-S.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's of course iconic part of the Corvette look. The interior is so space age. You know, I love that where the you know, glove box should be is this wonderful concave looking area. It's just, kids see this on the street, you know, young kids, and they go, "What is that, mister? Is that from outer space?" You know? They've never seen anything like it. And this is all fiberglass, of course, and beautifully molded. I mean, it'll never rust, but, you know, they couldn't do that nowadays. To try to recreate this car now, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
I'm afraid I would just rub the paint off of it, keeping every fingerprint.
Yeah. I know, I pretty much do.
And as we get to the front of the car, we see the original Corvette manual.
Yeah.
And some of the awards that you've won with it.
Look at that. A way of life begins at the wheel. Sweetest two-seater going.
Oh.
There's me, there's you, and there's Johnny.
It's the beret. Oh, it's the driving hat.
It's the driving hat.
Yes.
Oh, and there's the
Look at
chassis.
that.
Ooh.
That's amazing that you actually have that to go with it, and
Oh, I
it's
know.
in your colors on the inside. Look at.
Yeah.
They
it's
demonstrated.
obviously the iconic color.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it.
And these are a couple of the awards that you mentioned,
Right.
which is
Right.
pretty awesome.
It's the regional award for the NCRS. That's a big deal. These awards were given before I purchased the car. But it was a part of the reason I bought this car, because it had that pedigree. This is the original sheet they sent me to entice me to buy it. And, you know, red interior matching numbers. That's a big deal with collecting cars. You know,
yeah.
So it's the original, and, you know.
I love this too. This is the documentation manual, the real thing.
Yep.
That was expensive back then, $5.95.
Hell yes. I mean, heck yeah. And the asking price and what I paid, it was a great day. This was at Bloomington Gold at the show that I bought this.
Do you know the person who originally owned it, what part of the country they lived in?
The South. It was in Dothan, Alabama.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
And it was a guy that actually restored cars. That's what he did.
It's amazing.
So, I love it.
And we want to thank Jim Peterik for giving us a tour of his cars. And a final question, Jim. What piece of advice would you have for anyone who's collecting cars and guitars?
Well, that's kind of an easy one. To me, go with what you love. Don't go with things that people say, oh, you've got to get this car or that guitar. Go with a guitar or car that you love and have to have. Number two, go with originality. A guitar is worth more if it's the original finish, like this one. Even if it's beat up, it's better than a refin. The wear is precious. No problem there. With a car, don't go for highly modified cars. The more original numbers matching cars are the ones to go with. Originality, and make sure you love the car or guitar.
Well, that's fitting advice considering you are an original. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Steve and Johnny.